fundraising, fraud, and other such wonderful things that have been happening through the telephone. So let's delve in as we go and try and get some of this to go. So let's have a good ring on here. Who's going to answer me for this? Who's going to answer me? Ring, 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 ring.
Hello. Well, I have to say thank you, Phoebe. I just wanted to say that in this latest investigation, ProPublica uncovered a network of political nonprofits that exploit donors by redirecting over 90% of contributions to fundraisers rather than the promised causes. These groups include the American Breast Cancer Coalition, manipulating compassionate donors who believe in donations to aid cancer patients, veterans, and firefighters. To evade penalties these people have been banned from charitable fundraising, these operators have switched to political fundraising. This loophole allows them to continue their deceptive practices under the guise of political advocacy, underscoring significant regulatory and oversight deficiencies. This story is from ProPublica by Ellis, Simani on June 18th, 2024.
So I can tell you why they haven't been banned from political fundraising, and that's because the First Amendment makes it very difficult to ban people from political speech and money. As far as Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission is concerned, is a form of speech, and it's a form of political speech, and therefore under Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission you can't restrict political speech in the way that was being done. So the First Amendment says that political speech is the most difficult and highest bar to restrict, and it is nigh on impossible to restrict political speech. So political speech under the First Amendment allows the First Amendment to be cannibalized by the First Amendment, because the First Amendment allows political speech to advocate that political speech can destroy the First Amendment by advocating for the policies of destroying the First Amendment.
Well, all I gotta say is this is a dense article, and there's a lot to go. Thank you for illustrating that, Phoebe. Look, here's the issue that I'm seeing with all this. So you've got these people who know how to play these games. They know these loopholes. The reason they can play these games and know these loopholes is because of how they've been educated, the access to understanding this stuff, and then the people around them know this type of stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's crazy because before I'm just a working class welding guy. I'm a welding inspector. I supervise other welders. I wouldn't know shit about this. This is like so not part of like the daily American working class experience. Loopholes and IRS shit and blah, blah, blah. It's insane.
See, this is my bread and butter. This is my bread and butter, this kind of stuff. Being in the legal field, this is my bread and butter. I know just where and when people will start sailing the America's Cup, how far they'll get through before the mast catches, and I'll know exactly when they need to turn around and, head for home. This is unfortunately my bread and butter. It's not saying that I endorse or encourage or have clients where I do this for. I am no Saul Goodman in this world, or Jimmy McGill, or Gene Takovic, whatever you want to call that character. But as somebody who is legally trained, this is one of the problems of having the law as it currently stands. The tax code as it currently stands is voluminous. Somebody said that once an appropriations bill was passed by Congress that weighed 37 pounds when it was printed off. That's not British pounds, that's US pounds. So for those of you using the metric system, that's about 14 kilos this damn thing weighed. We are talking an absolutely inordinate amount of waste that is created by the regulations that you can race the Monaco Grand Prix through it and have the entire Formula One World Championship race quite happily through all of these loopholes, and I'm sure Infidel wants to do that.
Well, I'll spare us the loopholes because I think that they probably already know what they're doing well enough that I'm not even going to try to explain it. But I will say that one in particular, I noticed Thomas Birkenbush, they mentioned him, and it seemed that almost immediately after being convicted, or actually was settled, it was a settlement, that when they got these bans and these fines, immediately he just rolled right over to Office Edge LLC, and under him they found 10 different groups that are connected to him that have raised collectively over $33 million. And this is just so odd because they are taking advantage of the same people. It's like they're mining from the same farm of people who have good intentions. And, it's almost like a church. You find the people with the good intentions and the people who have a bleeding heart, a heart that they want the world to be a better place. And they hear, who wouldn't want to help cancer patients? Who wouldn't want to help veterans? And so they take these causes that reach in and grab people by the heart. And what do? They take advantage of them. And that's where I have an issue with this whole thing of, well, it's First Amendment, so we really can't touch it. I get what they're saying, but the bottom line is that I don't think Thomas Birkenbush's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech would be inhibited if he wasn't allowed to be in political fundraising. He may have to go find a real job.
Still fraud.
Yeah, but
yeah,
the IRS
though.
But their IRS is saying they can't do anything about it. This blows my fucking mind. Again, I know construction workers, welders, all the guys, everybody in the trades and the industries. IRS will go after each one of these guys for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. They have plenty of time to go after the fucking low hanging fruit, which is the poor and the working class. Just like we see in the fucking legal system and every other system, they target the poor working class. But somehow, some way. It's easy. But somehow this $33 million, we don't know what to do with it. It's disgusting to me. It is so fucking disgusting.
Because the tax code is written to allow these groups to operate. I mean, these 527s, they operate quite openly. These 527s, they spread lies when they are given the chance. I mean, does anybody remember Bush v. Kerry 2004? Do either of you two remember that election?
Yes, unfortunately.
And do either of you two remember a 527 that was called Swift Boat Veterans for Truth?
Yep.
So that organization spread a load of lies about John Kerry getting his Purple Hearts with stolen valor and all this, that and the other. Oh, rubbish. But you can't touch them because it's political speech. You can't touch them because it's an advert through a 527. You can't touch them because the Supreme Court has codified that you can't touch that kind of speech in a fair and open democratic society. Whether I agree with that is absolutely irrelevant, but that's what the current state of the law is. What you have here, though, is you have scam packs. I mean, the people that donated to Swift Boat Veterans for Truth knew that they were a George W. Bush-leaning organization that was going to attack John Kerry somehow. The fact that they used a broad version of the truth, which is probably, truth calling it that, is probably not an accurate statement by me. But these scam packs, they are not actually doing what they're saying. You actually have to have some kind of political output to actually be a political action committee. There's no political output in these political action committees because what's going on is nepotism, hoovering up of funds on other things that are unrelated to the politics that is being advocated and advanced here. So what's going on? It's the lining of the pockets of aunts, of themselves, of other companies, of sisters, of wives, you name it. Everyone's in on the game on this because it's millions of dollars and it's really difficult to get at because the Supreme Court, in its infinite wisdom, has said political speech is money. Political speech is not just what you see here. It's the almighty dollar bill. It's the almighty 50 cents. It's these coins are political speech, apparently. This is a form of political speech which is absolutely absurd.
Insane. It's fucking insane.
I don't even consider this political speech. So then, and that's the problem where the code clearly needs to be rewritten, because essentially what you have is you have a group of people who are in the business of raising funds for a political cause under the guise of charity. And if you're going to use it, a charity, as your front of saying this is to help charities, then at some point, I think that you need to be able to legally demonstrate that some charitable organization is reaping those rewards. And because of this, you just have fundraising for the act of fundraising to give it to other groups who are supposedly fundraising for the same thing. It's really just a rinse and repeat of fundraising.
They're not here. What they're doing here is they have the same thing as a peer review circle here. So for those of you who have seen episodes on creationism and evolution and intelligent design, where you have these groups of so-called scientific researched things that have been peer reviewed, where they haven't actually been independently peer reviewed by a group of peers, they've just been peer reviewed by a group of people who all agree with the same outcome. What you have here is you have the same circle that, okay, we will raise the money, we'll pay you to do the admin, who will then pay you to do the admin, who will then pay you to do the admin, who will then pay you to do the admin, who will then pay you to you. And the output of this is so minimal that it is absolutely mind-bending, the layers of shell that you have to go through to get to the core, that then shows that there is absolutely nothing in the middle of this at all, apart from a few $100s here and there going on an advert here and there for breast cancer, as was listed in the article. This lawsuit, which has now gone class action, by the individuals in California who have been targeted by these scam packs, is going to be very interesting, because if a judge entertains this class action, you could be looking at not just millions, but you could be looking at an Alex Jones style settlement here, or an Alex Jones style judgment in the billions, because this undermines the democracy that this nation is built on. The republic that the United States is built on has to have these kinds of safeguard rails to stop the First Amendment from being used to cannibalize the First Amendment.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what this reminds me of, these are the same people who, you know, they don't want to tax churches, and churches don't have to open books. Churches have, I live down the street from Joel Osteen's church, Lakewood, literally down the street. I pass by that fucking monstrosity every day. And the guy has billboards in all if you drive around Houston, Texas, in the poorest areas, you have Osteen billboards. It's ridiculous. He's doing a billboard campaign. He has logos. It's a fucking business that takes in money that is not taxed, and it's under the guise of a nonprofit. They can steer elections. They can endorse. I mean, it's insane what these people can get away with in plain sight. But if we mention on our shows any type of leaning towards it, we can all of our shit can be taken from us. It's insane. All of our ACA books, they're open. You can look through them. But somehow the same motherfuckers who push for this religious exemption, you're going to see these guys in the same churches doing the same things with the same causes with political motivations. It's all the same shit. But they, like you said, Phoebe, in a much better way than I could, these motherfuckers wrote the laws for themselves so that way they can do this shit and then continue to vote other people in to continue to add more amendments to these fucking laws, so that way they can keep bolstering their fucking bullshit while the working class just suffers. And then the IRS, which, I mean, paying taxes when we have billionaires not paying into it, to me is just as evil as it gets. But you got people coming after the fucking working class while these other motherfuckers are raking in the benefits of the working class people trying to donate to a good fucking cause. It's so evil to me.
Yeah.
Yep. You absolutely nailed it there, Jason.
Have either of you two seen the TV show The West Wing?
A little bit, yes. Yes, I have.
I'm not.
So in one of the final series, one of the candidates for the presidency goes and gives a speech at a black church, and that is seen as normal. Goes and gives a political campaign speech from the pulpit, and that's seen as normal.
Yes,
it is.
Which just,
unfortunately,
is mind-bending that 501c3s and 527s, they're supposed to be completely different in how they are operated. But these scam packs and these churches that you mentioned, Jason, they seem to be operating in identical manners, taking money and endorsing things they shouldn't be endorsing, or doing things they shouldn't be doing. Infidel, are you doing that?
I like to sleep at night as little as I do. So no, I couldn't live with myself doing this, because what is so insidious about it is they are taking advantage, like the same group of people that Joel Osteen that Jason mentioned is taking advantage of. They're taking advantage of working class people who want to make the world a better place, who want to improve things, who are looking for things to be better. And they're taking the people who are least capable of providing money and resources for others, and they're enriching themselves with it and ignoring the people who they're claiming are going to be the benefits of it. Yeah. And that's what makes it so unforgivable. It's not just that they're benefiting from something and they're scamming here and there. It is the very basis and the fundamental principle of the organizations that they exist within to do this. It's not a bug. As I said earlier, it's a feature. It's one of the things that they want. And really, groups like this are almost indistinguishable from churches. They're doing the same thing under a different guise, and they're getting away with it, and they're going to continue to get away with it unless somebody cause a stop to it. And that's the problem, because those in power have no incentive to do that, because I can be sure that some of the money that these people are raising is going into political action committees for people who have no interest at all in cancer patients or veterans or firefighters or all the other causes that they purport to support. They don't give a shit about them either. They've shown that. So they're more concerned about.
These groups have called them out. The firefighters union said, stop giving money to this pack. They are nothing to do with supporting firefighters. When you have those groups that are purportedly the beneficiaries of these actions saying, stop, these people are frauds, these people do not help us, that should raise serious alarm bells about the regulations that are in place here. Because what is going on here, it's not regulation, it's not even turning a blind eye, it's opening the door as wide as you can and saying, please carry on as you were before, but sign this piece of paper so it looks like we're actually doing something.
Yeah, see, the problem is the people who are giving to these groups, they don't get a phone call from the fire department saying, hey, there's a bunch of scam people calling. They get a phone call from someone who gives them a sob story or tells them something that pulls at their heartstrings, and they go, oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I can try to give a little bit to that. And so the problem is that the ones who are doing the outreach are the ones that are perpetrating the problem, because firefighters actually have a real job to do. They can't go around informing the public. They got things that they actually need to do, whereas these people, all they need to do and all they want to do is capitalize on people who want to help other people. And that's what's so disgusting.
They're capitalizing on the working class. And if you look at the United States right now, our wages are the lowest they've ever been compared to inflation. Our hours are higher than they've ever been. So by the time I'm working 60 to 80 hours a week every week, by the time I'm home, I'm fucking exhausted. My brain is done. How am I going to take in more information and educate myself? Phoebe does this shit for a living. I'm supervising guys burning metal together. I mean, it's such a niche thing that when somebody calls and you're tired and you're like, I want to help out this working class firefighter. I want to help out these working class people. I want to help out these cancer patients. I'm going to do the little bit that I can. The fact that money isn't going to them, it blows my mind that this isn't fucking criminal. It blows. I mean, it blows my fucking
civil
mind.
Matter. As far as the law's concerned, this is a civil matter.
Exactly, but it's you're literally extorting and using and lying and then lining your pockets, and you're taking advantage. It's traitorous.
This could be criminal. There are elements that this could be criminal.
Yeah.
But by and large, this is a civil matter. You have given money to an organization, you sue that person to get your money back. That's where the law stands, by and large. Unless you can show a fraud or a blackmail or some other criminal problem, which the lawsuit that is going forwards is trying to show. It is trying to show criminal violations of the California Data Protection Act that could actually get somewhere in the criminal code. But to try to say that the law will prosecute this as a fraud or prosecute this as a scam, you might as well just start laughing. And I work in this field for a living. The law does not do what you would expect it to do in this area, because the law is written in such a way to be so broad that it allows these loopholes to go unchecked. You could fight American gladiators through these loopholes and not even touch the sides. And if you don't like that, tell us what you really think about that in the comments below or email us.